but you are watching Primary Catchup and today we are at the Dow Academy Momu 3D.
Hello boys and girls, my name is Mr. Kapengwe and I'm going to be your maths teacher today. I hope you're going to listen and pay attention. Our topic today is quite interesting and we all know a triangle. So basically our topic is all about a triangle and there are a lot more things that you're going to learn about a triangle. The first thing that I would like to share with you is how you define a triangle. Because most of you have many ways of describing a triangle, but what is it that you tell somebody when they ask you what a triangle is all about? So first thing that we should know is that a triangle is a shape that has three sides. And we all know very well, basically, that a triangle has three sides. And when you look around in our environment, there are many things that are triangular in shape. I'm going to give you a few examples. I brought a few things with me today, which I can show you, which are triangular in shape. The first thing I want to show you is my beautiful hang wire. If you look at this, it's something that is very nice. It has a shape of a triangle, as you can see, and we usually have these in our homes. When we reach home after school, we usually take off our coats and we hang them nicely in our wardrobe. So this is a hang wire and it is triangular in shape. And this is a very nice item that we have in our homes. So we relate very well with it because most of the time we hang our clothes there and sometimes we take our jackets to the laundry while we are carrying them on a hang wire. And then I also want to show you something else. Break time is interesting. And I know most of you pack your food when you go to school. But look here, I have a lunch tin. And in this lunch tin, which everybody wants to open, and then people can eat the food that is in there. As you can see, I have a sandwich. A sandwich is a very favorite a piece of food that people want to eat at break time. So most of the kids like sandwiches, and a sandwich, if I take it out there, you can see it's shaped in a triangular form. So there are many things that we can relate to in our environment which are triangular. At the same time, I also have other things also that I want to show you. We have a rubber rake here. Our rubber rake is usually used to clean our yard around the house. And if you look at the end of the rubber rake, it is triangular in shape. And most of us, I know, we've used the rubber rake to help our grannies and our parents at home. And then the last thing that I want to show you, which you can use in the environment, is the signal triangle. I know you've seen this before, but it's a triangle that we use when we are traveling on long journeys. This triangle is important because when a motorist is traveling, in case they have an accident, they use this signal triangle to alert other motorists about the danger ahead of them. So triangles are important because we relate to them in many ways. In our environment, they are there. Okay, so we can move on now to the next stage of our lesson. And I want us now to think about your other favorite food that you eat. And with me, I have a picture. It's not the real one, but it's a picture of a pizza. And I know most of you like to have this during your weekends. And if you buy pizza, you observe that it is cut into pieces. And the pieces are nicely cut and they look like this. And I'm sure you share with your brothers and sisters, and it is triangular in shape. So let's move on now to the mathematical concept of a triangle. Now, I'm going to introduce three types of triangles that we're going to discuss, and I want you to pay attention and listen very carefully. So we're going to look at three types of triangles. And the first triangle that I want to show you is the equilateral triangle. As you can see, I have drawn it here, and I hope that you're going to see what activities we can do with it. The other triangle that I want to show you is when you come to our screen here, I have a triangle that is called an isosceles triangle. So these triangles have different characteristics, and we're going to explain, and I hope you pay attention and listen. The third one, which I'll also show you, is this shape of a triangle, which is called a scalene triangle. A scalene triangle is quite irregular, and it's different from the other two in the sense that all the sides are not equal at all. So let me go back to my equilateral triangle. What are some of the things you need to know about the equilateral triangle? An equilateral triangle is a triangle that has three lines of symmetry, and it also has three equal sides. So it's an interesting triangle, and when I say it has three lines of symmetry, it means it can be cut into parts and they can fit perfectly, and I'll show you when we progress in our lesson. All right, so when you look at the isosceles triangle, it doesn't really have a lot to say about it, except that it has two lines that are equal, and I have two marks there that show that the triangle has two equal sides. So it means this side is equal to that side. But it does not have three lines of symmetry like an equilateral triangle. Instead, it only has one. So the one line of symmetry that can run from there up to the bottom can divide that triangle into two equal parts. That's all about the equilateral triangle. The isosceles, equilateral, and the scalene triangle. We move on now in our lesson. We are going to also calculate the area of a triangle. Now, area is the space that is occupied by a shape, and we know that our triangles can occupy any space they are put on. If they are put on a surface, they can occupy that space. So this is what we're going to do now. So how do we get the area of our triangle? I have a rectangle. My rectangle is cut across diagonally, and you can see that this rectangle can give me two triangles when I cut it into half. So this is where we get our formula for calculating the area of our triangle. At the same time, we can also look at this shape that we have here. It's a parallelogram. Now, a parallelogram, once we cut it this way and that way, we can also cut some triangles in this shape. So there are many shapes where we can make triangles from, but specifically we are interested in the rectangle because the rectangle is the shape that is prominent, and it shows two triangles in it. So how do you develop the formula for calculating area of the triangle? We say that this triangle is half of the rectangle, and for that reason we are going to use half, and the triangle sits on this side, which is the base, and we are assuming that this side is the height. Because of that, this becomes our height, that becomes our base at the bottom. That's how we develop our triangle calculations. So I have some triangles which I have on the board here, and there are quite many, but we can still go through them and see how we can calculate and find the answers to the triangles that we've drawn. I'll start with this first one, and we must understand one thing. When we are calculating area of the triangle, we need to identify the base. The base is where the triangle sits. That is what we call our base. And then we must also identify the height. The height is the highest point in a triangle, and in our triangle here, we have 8 and 16. 16 is the base and 8 is the height. We can identify the height in a triangle by looking at the line from the top to the bottom. Usually the lines meet at a 90-degree angle. So we can say the height is perpendicular to the base. That's how we can identify the height in a triangle. So we have discussed to say the calculating the area of a triangle is half base times height. So I'm going to show you how we can calculate that area. All right, boys and girls, we are now at a stage when we are supposed to calculate the area of a triangle. And I want you to pay attention and see how far we can go with our calculations. So on the board here, I have my triangle and the base is 16 centimeters. We also have the height, which is 8 centimeters. Remember, I told you to say, to find the height of a triangle, we have to identify the line that is perpendicular to the base. In other words, the line that meets the base at a 90-degree angle. So 8 is our height. So we're going to say area of a triangle is usually half times B times H. So when we calculate, we substitute the letters with the numbers that have been given to us. So here we go. We are going to say, now we are at the stage where we are calculating our answer. We are trying to find the area of this triangle. So we are going to say A, standing for area or representing area. We put our equal sign and then we're going to say half multiplied by 16, and then we're also going to multiply by 8. Now 8 is the height that we have in our triangle. From there on now, we can now divide the numbers. We can divide 2, goes in there once, 2 goes into 16 8 times, and then now we can multiply 1 times 8 times 8, which gives us 64. And then we can say this is our area, but at the same time, we should remember that the one which we left here is already divided into 64, which gives us 64. We don't leave our answer like that. We need to put the centimeter squares. So this is how we write our answer. So this is just one example that we've done, and we still have more examples. And here we have 2 beautiful triangles that are on the board. We'll still calculate the area of these triangles, but we'll still go through the same process. We're going to calculate the area of the next triangle that we have here on the board, and I want you to pay attention and see how far we can go with the second one. So we're going to follow the same formula that we used at first, and the formula of area of a triangle remains the same. So we're going to say area will be equals to half multiplied by B multiplied by H. So when we calculate the area of a triangle, we follow this order. And what we have as the base there is 12, and we have 8 as our height. The second stage is where now we have to substitute the letters with the numbers that we have been given. If you look at this triangle, we have the number 8 and we have the number 6. 6 is not the height. The most important thing for us is to identify the height. So 8 is the height, 12 is the base. So we're going to say area will be equals to half which we are going to multiply by 12, which replaces the letter B, multiplied by 8, which is our height. And then we are now going to the next stage, where we're going to divide. 2 goes in there once, 2 goes in there 6 times. So we're going to multiply 1 times 6 times 8. So the answer that you're going to get will be equals to 48. We still have 1 here, which you can still bring down here, and we'll divide it into this 48. I know that in the first sum, we did not divide it, but it should be divided in that, because it's a straightforward thing. So we're going to say 1 into 48 gives us 48. And remember, I emphasized to say we need to write the centimeter squared this side, and then we underline our answer like that. So this is how we can calculate our area of the triangle. So we can move on to the next triangle, which is also interesting and straightforward. If you practice more and more, you discover to say they are actually easy to calculate. Triangles are easy to calculate. So we have the triangle on our board here, and we still follow the same process. We're going to say area will be equals to half, which is a constant that we use in our calculation. We are going to multiply it by B by H. B represents the base, H represents the height. Our triangle's height is 4 centimeters, and the base is 12. So we are going to say half multiplied by 12. Now notice something. We have substituted the letters with the numbers. Multiplied by 4. So we multiply by 4 like that, and then we can say 2 goes in there once, 2 goes in there 6 times. So we are now going to multiply the set of numbers on top. So we're going to say 1 times 6 times 4 will give us 24. And after this, we now have to remember to take the 1 and divide it under 24. So when we divide this, it gives us 1 into 24, it gives us 24. So we write our 24 there, but don't forget, we still have to write the centimeter squared there, and then we underline our answer. So this is very easy for us to practice, and the more we practice, we can actually get more and more answers. So this is what we've done today, but I can still go through what we discussed. The first thing that we discussed was that a triangle is 3-sided, and it's an interesting shape, which we know is very much around in our environment. At the same time, we also discussed to say an equilateral triangle has 3 lines of symmetry. It also has 3 equal sides. A scalene triangle has all the sides very much unequal. And then we have the isosceles triangle, whose sides are not equal at all except 2 of them, and it has 1 line of symmetry. So this is important for us to understand, because in our daily lives we'll go through a lot of things that we experience, and we see triangles in our daily lives. We see triangles on the roads when they show signs. We see triangles in the environment, like the rubber rake, which I gave you. We see triangles even in the food that we pack, like the sandwich, which I gave you as an example. So there are many triangles that are in our environment. So it's an interesting shape, and I hope you've learned a lot. Please stay safe and stay learning.